Coming up in today's newscast, an Iranian-held base in Syria is attacked overnight, Hamas looks to finally ease tensions along the Gaza border, and Sacha Baron Cohen returns with a new ShowTime series on America. Last night, a major Syrian-Iranian stronghold came under fire, triggering air defense systems throughout the region. The base, the T4, is the same one that Israel has repeatedly targeted in the past due to its massive strategic importance to Iranian-linked proxy forces. For this reason, many have placed the blame again for this latest round of airstrikes on Israel as well. Israel, as per its policy, however, does not comment on alleged operations such as this. But considering the T4 is one of the primary facilities for Iranian Hezbollah and Syrian pro-regime forces in central Syria, it's certainly a prime target for the IDF. Syrian state media claims that although the base did sustain damage in the airstrikes, its air defense systems actually struck one of the attacking jets, successfully blocking the bulk of the attack. If true, this could potentially mean that a Russian S-200 rocket was used to attack an Israeli aircraft, if Israel was indeed behind the strike. Though Israel and Russia have reportedly reached some kind of under-the-table deal to keep Iranian proxy armies away from the border, the idea of Russian rockets firing at Israeli fighters is a troubling scenario to consider. At this time, the casualty count at the T4 is still unclear. Some local media outlets say as many as 9 Syrian regime fighters were killed in the blast. Prime Minister Netanyahu is currently advancing the nationality bill towards its second and third readings in the Knesset, but not without some last-minute changes. If passed, the law would prioritize Jewish law over democratic law where they clash, would officially designate Jerusalem as Israel's capital and Arabic as the second official language, among other changes. Opponents to the bill, like Meretz leader Tamar Zandberg, however, call the bill racist and unnecessary. Well, joining me now in the studio with more, our political advisor and peace activist Nir Avishai Cohen, and legal advisor to the Israeli Movement for Governability and Democracy, or Meshilut, attorney Simcha Rothman. Thank you both very much for coming in today. So, my first question, I'm going to start with you, Neil. How is this law racist?
First, marhaba wa masai al-khair. I want to take advantage the last moment that I have to speak some Arabic because this law is one step doing Arabic illegal here in the public areas.
You think they're trying to make Arabic illegal?
For sure. And the bottom line of this law, that this is a racist law. And why it's a racist law? Because this law prefer the Jews beside and not the Arabs, and both of the Jews and the Arabs are part of the society, and they should have the same rights. And I don't understand why to change the status of the Arabic, that it is like its official language since 1948. So I don't understand.
Well, but the new law, I will say this: at least it keeps it as the second official language. So I mean, it doesn't sound like they're banning it.
It will be in a special status, but not an official status as it is right now.
I don't know what law does my friend speak about, because the law is very clear. It's for the first time give the Arabic a status in the basic law. He didn't have any status in any Israeli law until now, and he wasn't. It's just not true. It was not a formal language in Israel. Never.
It is right now.
And it's for the first time it gets a special. Many people in Israel speak Russian. Some almost more than speak Arab, and Russian does not get any special recognition in this law.
But over a fifth of the country speaks Arabic.
But Arabic does. Arabic does get a special treatment in this law, in a law that his name is Israel is the nation state for the Jewish people. The Arabic get a special recognition. So to say that this law bans Arabic or this law is racist, it's not based on anything but trying to make this law. I don't like this law for many other reasons, but not for. But to say that this law is racist is just a lie.
But in the same vein, if we're sticking with the Arabic language, while I disagree and I don't think it looks like it's going to ban it, or maybe it will pave the way. But the first reading of the bill that did pass enshrined Arabic, making it more accessible in all government offices. Well, but
which is not the case now.
But the second reading, this new bill has changed that to make it where they don't necessarily have to include Arabic. So why not if a fifth of the country still speaks it?
The changes that the bill has passed since the first reading to the second reading was trying all the time, because of a reason that I support, to make it less to do. It's the law does not make the government do anything. It's more a declarative kind of law in all aspects. It changed and took out many of the articles that was in the first reading were either made more vague, or because they don't want this law to be a law that makes the government do stuff or make Israel do stuff. It's supposed to be a declarative law saying Israel is the nation state of the Jewish people.
But not just
in a very zoom out kind of. So anything that is operative in this law was taken out, but not only the Arabic issue. A lot of the issues were taken out because of the same reason.
So we'll get to that in a second. But
let's not be innocent. This law, or a language is part of a culture, and the fact that you make the Arab not as an official language, it's a kind of a try make the Arab culture not part of the Israeli society. It's part of a process. We have to open our eyes and to understand the wide perspective. The politicians trying to push aside the Arabs from the society. That's what the law makes.
The law, for the first time, says that any person, regardless of nation or language, in Israel, has the right to preserve his language, his culture, his education. That's in the new version. It gives rights that never was to the Arab minorities. So to say, I understand why Meretz, as an opposition party, will try to say that it's a bad law, but read the law. The law does exactly the opposite.
The fact
to say that this law is racist is a lie. Is a propaganda. Is a lie and propaganda.
So I'd like to follow up on that.
I will say why it's not a propaganda. Because giving the Jewish villages or Jewish societies the opportunity not to accept Arabs because they are Arabs, and this one is a racist law.
The situation in Israel today, is that Arabs can have Arab-only settlements by the Supreme Court rulings, and Jews cannot have. That's the case today. This law tries to do, and the law says anyone can make community settlements. Jews, Arabs, religious, secular,
and not accepting someone because he's an Arab.
That the law in Israel today is that Arabs cannot Arab settlements does not accept Jews, and it's supported by Supreme Court ruling.
All right, unfortunately, gentlemen, I have to cut the conversation short. And thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Now, shocking new research has just illuminated what could be a difficult truth about Anne Frank, whose life, death, and diary have come to symbolize the dark saga of the Holocaust. Leading Holocaust organizations have released documents that seem to indicate Frank and her family were actually seeking refuge in the United States in the years leading up to the Nazi takeover. Requests that were, as we know, never answered, ultimately leading to nearly the entire family's extermination in Nazi death camps. This shocking new evidence comes from the Anne Frank House and the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. It contains documents which seem to prove that Frank's father, Otto, twice applied for visas to the United States as well as one visa to Cuba. These attempts for asylum in the United States were also referred to in a letter from Frank's father to a friend living in the United States in 1941. In the letter, written in English, Otto writes that he submitted visa applications to the American consulate in Rotterdam in 1938. At that time, visa applications sometimes took years to process, and often required testimonies of friends, relatives, and sponsors already in the United States to vouch for the applicant. Connections that Frank's family almost certainly lacked. The outbreak of World War II almost certainly slowed down this process as well. Holocaust experts say that although the American administration may not have outright rejected their applications, their efforts were ultimately thwarted by, quote, American bureaucracy, war, and time, end quote. Whatever the reason, Frank's family ultimately had no choice but to go into hiding. They were discovered and sent to the Auschwitz death camp on August 4th, 1944, and many have already pointed out the chilling parallels to modern American immigration policies, which have been accused of systematically denying authentic asylum seekers refuge in the United States and sending them back to almost certain danger. At a time when the refugee crisis worldwide has erupted beyond conceivable thought, many hope that this new discovery can remind leaders of the cost of a single human life, and hopefully create a more empathetic understanding of immigrants all over the world. For the first time in nearly 4 months, Hamas has instructed its security forces to resume policing the Gaza-Israel border. This comes after months of clashes with Israeli troops at the border, which often ended violently and sometimes fatally. So could Hamas's strategy be shifting here, or is this just a sign of more unrest to come? ILTV's Brett Allen Smith is here with the analysis. All right, so Brett, presumably Hamas forces are being sent to calm the situation on the border. Does this move have a direct link to the March of Return clashes with Israel?
Well, I'd say yes and no. I mean, on the one hand, I think that Hamas is getting considerable pressure to ease off of those protests, which we've, seen regularly since March every weekend. But for one thing, I think it undermines whatever strategy the Palestinians are going to be taking, if and when the U.S. peace deal comes into play here, whether they want to counter that or go for it. And for another thing, I think there's an argument to be made that those protests, where Palestinians regularly wind up dead, they're probably not great for overall Palestinian morale on the Strip. And considering the Gaza Strip is already thought of as one of, just the most uninhabitable places on earth, I think that morale either is or should be of major concern to Hamas, who's supposed to be governing the Strip.
Sure. Well, I mean, things may soon be shifting in the near future, depending on the Trump administration's peace efforts, as you mentioned just now. So, we've heard all kinds of rumors lately, a restart to Palestinian unity between Hamas and the PA, a long-term Hamas-Israel ceasefire deal, things that the Palestinians may use to counter Trump's efforts. But there's also the rumor that the White House may ignore its peace plan altogether and focus exclusively on the Strip. Yeah,
I'm sure that rumor is on Hamas's mind as well here now. And let's remember, Hamas's security forces, they're not just worried about Israel. Unless Israel, gets a rocket from Gaza, Israel is generally pretty quiet, I gotta say. But Hamas has its own problems to worry about. It's got insurgencies, rival forces, Islamic Jihad, all kinds of groups that may be trying to undermine whatever Hamas is trying to do, which sometimes, is what Israel wants it to do and control rocket attacks. Because even if Islamic Jihad fires off a rocket, it's Hamas that ultimately gets targeted by an Israeli counterattack. So even in this case now, Hamas may just be trying to, maintain some sort of new order, relative control here for its own safety for moving forward in what these talks are going to be. Either way, Hamas probably needs to demonstrate that kind of control or something like it if other nations are ever going to engage seriously with them in any kind of negotiations in the future.
All right, well, thanks for the update, Brett.
Sure.
For the second year in a row, Israel has cracked the top 10 list of the world's most powerful countries. This ranking comes courtesy of the U.S. News and World Report magazine, which makes those annual Best College and Best Hospitals lists. So hopefully that means they know what they're talking about. After an international poll spanning 21,000 participants across the world, Israel ranked as the number 8th most powerful nation. That's a few spots ahead of rival countries like Iran and Turkey, but also a few spots behind heavy-hitting Western countries like the United States, Germany, the UK, France, and Japan. The small but powerful Jewish state was also named the world's 10th biggest mover for its promising economy. But when it came to categories for quality of life, cultural influence, adventure, and openness for business, let's just say there's a lot of room for improvement. Among its lowest rankings was for citizenship, where Israel ranked 33rd on the list. And those lower rankings brought Israel's overall best country placement down to number 30. Now, at the end of the day, this is just a result of a popularity contest, of course, but if there was a category for best food, I think we all know who'd score the number 1 slot. The power of Wonder Woman is second to none, and it seems that real-life Wonder Woman Gal Gadot is as dedicated to helping others off-screen as she is in her films. Israeli actress Gal Gadot just visited the Innova Children's Hospital in Virginia in full costume, and the smiles on the faces of these kids are priceless. It isn't every day that you get to meet a superhero, but that's what makes meeting one so special. Wonder Woman flew into Virginia's Innova Children's Hospital ready to make an impact. In a surprise visit, the world's most famous heroine greeted patients, doctors, and the rest of the staff at the hospital. And Gadot was already nearby in Washington, D.C., filming the next part of the Warner Brothers series, Wonder Woman 1984, when she took time out of her busy schedule to make the appearance. Still, the reactions were clearly worth it. One doctor tweeted, "Thank you, Gal Gadot, for visiting us at Innova Health Children's Hospital. You are a true Wonder Woman." The kids loved it, and so did the staff. Gadot's 2017 version of Wonder Woman is the highest-grossing superhero origin film of all time, totaling more than $821 million, even while being banned in Lebanon and Tunisia because of Gadot's service in the IDF. Wonder Woman 1984 is set to come out in November 2019. If you've never seen the insane spectacle of the Jerusalem Light Festival, it's quite the sight to behold. And the 10th annual festival just wrapped up in the Holy City after 8 spectacular days of more LED screens, cinematic soundtracks, and high-key projections than your brain can probably process. With attractions rigged up all over the city's Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Armenian corridors, this year was one for the history books. This year, almost 250,000 visitors came to be wowed by one of the world's largest light festivals of its kind. This year's 10th anniversary also features performances and interactive activities for guests of all ages. Attendees who came received maps of the old city along with a checklist of sites to make sure they saw every last light bulb up close and personal. Each stop along the way featured its own theme, with 40 large-scale installations all in all spread throughout the city's 4 major quarters. Attractions this year included UV Dimension 3, which transports guests to an entirely new realm with a revolutionary 3D laser light show. Another attraction on Chabad Street transformed wind into light using 700 windmills. And French artist Antonin Ferraud amazed audiences by letting them watercolor with light using a huge LED that responds to moisture. All in all, this was simply an unforgettable and truly unique way to experience Jerusalem. And best of all, one that overcomes politics with literal rays of hope. We've all been there looking for a document in all the wrong places because you saved it somewhere safe, or just having too many files to sort through in the first place. We'll multiply that problem by a billion in a major company or for a government. Thankfully, Israeli company Kryptos says they've got the solution. Joining me now is the CEO and co-founder of Kryptos, Christian Torres. Thank you so much for coming in. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
So, tell me about Kryptos. What do you do, and how does that work?
Sure. Well, Kryptos, we predict data leakage by enabling businesses to locate the most critical information. So how we do this is through a sophisticated software that analyzes, classifies, and labels information automatically using machine learning.
So this is artificial intelligence?
Yes, right. So
Wow.
our software, as it's in the video, it goes inside documents and it searches for the content and the context of that document and classify it into confidential, restrictive, or general use.
So how does this make a file or a file system or network more secure?
Sure. Well, the problem is that right now corporates had a lot of information, and when a corporate is medium big, people don't handle well the documents, and don't know exactly where are located the most critical information. You have softwares to protect it, to control, but the thing is that every single day you have new documents that obviously it's exposed to data leakage.
Sure. So you have a lot of documents that, let's say somebody saves their passwords or something like that on a Word file. That's
we used to have
leak.
a case. We were working with CFO of a huge corporate, and we find that this CFO had a Word document without encrypting with all the users and passwords of their bank account in his computer desktop. So this kind of documents, it's important to a business, and obviously it's exposed. The CEO didn't know about that, and then they begin to protect it.
So how did you go about developing Kryptos, and for whom specifically, I guess?
Sure, corporate, like retail, we focus on retail, on financial, also manufacture.
Okay.
Since you have a lot of information and that is created every single day, and there, as I told you, it's very complicated to locate them and then protect. So our tool gives us an X-ray, an analysis of the whole organization, so you could focus exactly where to protect it.
Wow, that's amazing. So, all right, so what comes next? This is my final question for you.
Sure. Well, right now we have been selected at the Barclays Acceleration Program powered by Techstars. We are the first company being accepted from Latin America to be right here.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. And for us, it's a huge opportunity to be in the cluster of cybersecurity. And the next steps, it's to protect information for corporates, and specifically we are going to focus right now for the Latin American market.
All right, well, Christian, I wish you good luck in the Latin American
Thank
market,
you.
and then, of course, to expand from there. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Online shoppers from around the globe have officially been granted their wish, or at least one of them. The online giant Amazon launched a special deal offering free worldwide delivery, with a catch, of course. And LTV's Emmanuel Kadosh is eagerly here to tell us more details. Emmanuel?
Okay, first of all, I am very eagerly here. We talked
Right.
about this earlier today. Amazon has announced with no prior notice, no press release, nothing, that there will be free worldwide shipping for purchases over $80, which, I don't know about you, I don't know how much you online shop, is really, really, really big news. Like free worldwide shipping. That's amazing.
Right, but I, as I understand it, I mean, first of all, I'm very excited about this because everybody's been waiting for Amazon to come here for a long time, especially American expats, people like that. But But I hear that there are some major limitations on what is actually for sale.
Right. So of course, you know, you can't. They're not going to just hand everything out for free. So the options you do have are $80. You have to pay up to $80 to get the free shipping, and it just has to be part of the Amazon global, you know, products that they sell. It's not from a third party that uses the platform. It's, you know, the products that Amazon sells and wants to, you know, push and promote and I guess have people buy. And this is a very good technique to use to be doing it. Now, there's obviously a catch also for Israelis. Not only do Americans need to watch out when they buy, you know, electrical products or anything like that, because, you know, the wiring is different, you know, everything's different. It's just, you have to be careful when you're doing that. And also the taxes. Israel will still be doing
the VAT?
Yes, they still will be doing value-added tax. So they don't do value-added tax for products under $75 that are being shipped, but of course, because the worldwide shipping is above $80, you will have to pay the tax.
So, okay, so you have a choice. You can either get free shipping and pay VAT, or don't pay VAT and pay for the shipping.
Yes, but it's free worldwide shipping, and it's Amazon, and I don't know about you, but when I first moved to Israel, that was the one thing that was missing, quick, online, to my house type of delivery.
And I will agree with you that, you know, while you know, it kind of stinks that all the private sellers who go onto Amazon, you can't really buy from them and take advantage of this opportunity. But the global, you know, product catalog is pretty extensive.
This isn't like you're not missing out, let's put it that way. They do have a really wide selection of different products that you can buy. Of course, the third party selling kind of is the point of the platform. But we're moving in the right direction. This is worldwide shipping, and I'm really excited about it.
All right, well, I'm excited that you're excited.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
All right, the genius Oscar-nominated Hebrew-speaking mind behind Borat, Bruno, and Ali G has a new target in his crosshairs, American politics. Sacha Baron Cohen has just revealed that he may or may not have been filming a top-secret new series for ShowTime for over a year now. Cryptic promos, billboards, and online spots have begun teasing the new show, which will premiere next week on July 15th. And if this isn't enough to get you excited, then here's a little teaser that the funny man just released personally. Brace yourselves.
Dick Cheney, is it possible to sign my waterboard? Sure.
That's the first. That's the first time I've ever signed a waterboard.
He's back. For the past few years, Cohen's laid kinda low, taking on roles in more conventional narrative fare like Brothers Grimsby and the sequel to Alice in Wonderland. But from the look of this teaser, I'd say the new show will be more like a return to form, similar to his work that first put Cohen on the map. Though it's pretty unclear from the footage, most agree that Cohen will be assuming some kind of alter ego for the purposes of comedic espionage, much like he did in Borat, Bruno, and Ali G. First exploding onto the scene with his social terrorism antics of the Ali G Show in the UK, Cohen's popularity brought the show to America, often highlighting the brutal realities in American society. This phenomenon hit the mainstream with the massively popular success of the Borat film, in which Cohen plays a quasi-hapless but well-meaning immigrant from Kazakhstan. His interactions with ordinary Americans, activists, and even top United States leaders often revealed some painful truths about racism, sexism, and anti-Semitism in modern-day America. The American version of the Ali G Show even famously put his English wanker alter ego in the room with then-businessman Donald Trump. Cohen pranked Trump by pitching him an idea for an ice cream glove that keeps the sticky sweetness off of your hand while keeping your palms warm. Trump didn't go for the idea, but apparently he hasn't forgotten about it at all. In fact, Cohen first teased the show with footage of Trump apparently calling Cohen a third-rate character and saying he should go back to school to learn how to be funny. Well, from the look of this new show, Cohen is preparing to pull 0 punches, and we won't have to wait too long to see the fireworks start. The Hebrew word of the day is brought to you by IDC Samru Ulpan, open to everyone. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Recently, I saw a VHS tape. I couldn't play it, but it reminded me of going into Blockbuster and swapping out one film for another, and this walk down memory lane is why today's word is le'achlif, or to exchange. Now I know it's been a while since we all made trips to le'achlif movies anywhere, but I know I still exchange things all the time. I machlif or switch up the furniture in the house or the music on the radio, and when I go on vacation, I require a machlif or a replacement. But exchanges are great. The only achlifot or exchanges I don't like are confrontational ones at the post office when there's been a problem with my mail. So shout out to Amazon. Get on that next, will ya? Now let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be clear and warm with a low of 73 or 23 degrees Celsius. Then tomorrow you can expect sunny skies and little to no change in temperatures with a high of 87 or 31 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.62 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Israel English News and on Twitter at ILTV News. I'm Aaron Porras. Thank you for watching.